Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Now, after enjoying lunch, again we'll have to start another session. And there are three speakers in this session. Introduction is already being over about these three speakers. Being a chairperson of the session, I would like to submit my preamble note. First, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Professor V.S. Khare, Head of Department of Defense and Strategic Studies, for giving me an opportunity to chair this session. All of us, since yesterday, we are listening and discussing what was the role of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in the process of unity and integrity of this country. And in addition to that, it's not only the unity and integrity of the country, but even in the process of nation building also, he had determinant role. The most important task, that task was that India was scattered in numbers of principal states and kingdom, and how to carry out the program of integration, that was a great question mark. That was actually a very difficult task, and due to personal skill, diplomacy, skill of persuasion, and at last the use of military force. So somehow, very successfully, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who had tried his level best to integrate the country, all these kingdom and principal states were emerged with main domain of India. It's not only the integration of the kingdom and principal state. After that, how to look after the administration, how to maintain the law and order, how to maintain the internal security, and most important, how to cope up with the situation if any misthing, if any mishap, or if any misthing happens. And from top to bottom, there should be certain link, certain channel, certain administration setup, and therefore Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had introduced the network of administrative services, to whom it is being entitled as a steel frame. From top to bottom, these administrative services were being introduced. Though at the beginning there were certain conclusive problem, or I would say in other words, the teething problem. We discussed a lot, I just mentioned. Now we are not going to discuss the same thing whichever we were discussing since yesterday. Now we'll have to discuss something, and this session is devoted for another title. What about the future? The future of the Patel legacy, that will be the main idea. This session will be mainly consisted on this aspect particularly. So this is very much clear that India, having the diversity in terms of caste, creed, population, religion, and so on. Despite having such a diversity, very successfully, the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel had somehow integrated the country up to certain extent in that contemporary era. Though there were certain discrepancies were there, but facts remain that the role of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, it can't be neglected. We must acknowledge it. Because of this integration of all these kingdoms and principal state, now our identity as a nation very successfully we have been able to protect before the world. It was the 1947 that the country was partition. As an outset that we attended independence and the partition process it was started. So what happened during the partition? A lot of problems were there. Very successfully, the then Prime Minister, then Deputy Prime Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Mahatma Gandhi, numbers of contemporary leaders, they had dealt with all these problems. But the most important thing was that how to carry out this process of partition. And that process of partition, it was dealt by Sir Radcliffe Award, or I would say Radcliffe Commission. How this partition it was carried out? How the delimitation and demarcation of Indo-Pak boundaries were carried out? A great question mark. It was expected that while carrying out the process of delimitation and demarcation of the boundary, so socio-economic, geographical, political factors supposed to be considered. On the basis of socio-economic, cultural, geographical factor, the delimitation and demarcation process supposed to be completed. But Sir Radcliffe, he was in very hurry, somehow to bind up to complete this assignment and back to pavilion. That was his basic interest. And hurriedly this process it was done, and the consequences or I would say repercussions now we are facing. There were a lot of discrepancies in process of delimitation and demarcation of the Indo-Pak border. And nowadays, even today, still we are facing the numbers of challenges, numbers of problems from our neighboring countries, particularly even the Pakistan as well as the Bangladesh. As we are aware that the Pakistan, who claim that our Islamic civilization is totally different, and if both the Hindu and Muslim civilization remains together, remains united, so it will be very difficult to flourish and develop the Islamic civilization, and therefore, so on the pretext of two-nation theory, so the Pakistan created another independent state, what you call a theocratic state. You see the East Pakistan, the location of East Pakistan and location of West Pakistan, how it was different, how the geographical distance between these two same part of the same country. And the culture of East Pakistan, it was different culture, and culture of West Pakistan, it was a different culture. Culture is very important factor. And there were numbers of reasons why the East Pakistan separated, but one of the most important reasons, that was the culture. The culture of East Pakistan was totally different, and therefore the East Pakistan separated from West Pakistan. That's another episode, need not to discuss here. Over and above our identity as a nation, despite the diversity in caste, creed, religion, language, still we are united and we hold our identity as a nation. And The important factor, the important tide, okay, the important thread is the culture. Through this culture, we are bound together within one single identity, and that is a nation, and still we are the nation. So there were numbers of demerits or lacunas, or I can say the drawback, or discrepancies being left during demarcation, and you can say the process of integration of all small kingdom with the main domain of India. And certain discrepancies, or I would say the drawback has certain implication, the long-term implication, and all these long-term implication we are facing nowadays. Take the case of northeast region of India, Manipur. All of us were very much aware that how the issue of Manipur is one of the burning issue. There were numbers of reasons, variety of reasons, but one of the most important factor that Manipur also it was one of the independent kingdom once upon a time, and Manipur also it was merged with the main domain of India. So apart from all these difficulties, we continue our process of development and identity as a nation. So you will find simultaneously the process of development were being continued. Our country was a subject of severe scarcity of food. So green revolution it was succeed, white revolution it was succeed, blue revolution it was succeed, and apart from all these revolution, we attended the satisfied progress and continue the quest to attain the satisfied progress. And even we conducted the nuclear test. So apart from all these pursuit to become one of the power, so one major event it was occurred during 1974, that was the PNE, peaceful nuclear explosion we conducted, and we shifted from our identity as a soft power to deterrent power. So this is the just randomly journey of our country, the journey of development from 1947 to onward. The main issue is that what about the implications of this integration with all these small kingdom and principalities with the main domain of India? Role of political parties. What was the role of political parties since independence of the country? And you just try to compare that role of political parties since last 15-20 years. You will find tremendous change and no concrete role, no positive role being played by the opposition in this country. That is one of the great setback. Whichever the issue, as we are discussing about the national security and nationalism, so as far as concerned about the national security, whatever issue is relevant to national security, no expected role, no expected support being given by the political party. Just sake of example, take the case of foreign influx, illegal migrants from Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, okay. So role of political power regarding this foreign influx, you will find very disappointed. They are just bothered about to think about their vote bank. They are not bothered about the national interest or the national security. This is one of the example. I am aware that this is not the platform to criticize and to quote the numbers of example. I just given the hint that role of political parties, appeasement policy, lot of development being taken place in this country. The judgment of court also is being challenged. I need not to discuss the Shahbano affair, all of us we are aware about it. So what is going on in this country is a question mark. And therefore, let us stick up with these, the policies and legacies of the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, that how our country will remain unite, and how the unity and integrity of India will continue, will maintain, and our identity as a nation will continue. So this is just a preamble note, a short note regarding this session. Now, in this session, there will be three speakers, and I'll request the first speaker, Colonel Rajkumar Chachra. So please present your paper. Thank you very much.